Welcome. I'm Christina Pabers, and I'm joined by my good friend and colleague, Katarina Kolihova, who is joining us all the way from Prague, Czech Republic. And she's going to be sharing something with us that is so timely for the end of the year and transitioning to the new year, or any type of big transition that you have. And it's involving beautiful incense and burning. Great fragrances and something that takes your spirit to someplace else. That's so wonderful.
Hi, Christina, and welcome to all of you. It's always a joy to be here with you and share something that I have actually just recently learned myself and starting to experience as well. My intention is always to keep connection to the traditions, and because I am from Central Europe, what I've been lately learning about is that the year end has always been connected to so-called 12 purifying or mystical or holy nights. And this tradition is something that I was very inspired by. And because I shared it with Christina, she asked me to do this class for you so that you can have the experience yourself. It's true that when you look through the history, the fire has played such a major role in our lives. And very soon after men have started to use fire, what they have learned is when they added to fire particular woods or resins or plants, the smoke that was created had a very great potential and impact on not only the people itself, but also on their environment and surroundings. And because the year end and the beginning of the new year is like a nice little break that we can take in between the year to kind of come to closure or like just do a little reminiscence on the times we have gone through, so that we can close out certain experiences, or we can set our intention anew for the year ahead of us. That I found that the use of resins and dried herbs through the sense of smell and smoke is something that is very dear to my heart. And maybe Christina can tell us a little bit more about how the actual smell and the smoke that we're going to be inhaling through this ritual can influence us through the brain and through our hormones and through the nervous system.
Yeah, the sense of smell is one of our most ancient senses, and it can bring back our earliest memories. It's connected to the limbic system in our brain, and therefore connects with our emotions. So when we smell something, it's one of the senses that we have that can take us immediately to a different type of emotion as well as memory. So in this age where we're all trying to learn how to relax and manage our stress, this is one way to actually help you do that. And that's why the essential oil industry has become so big. And oftentimes we're not only trying to relax, but we're trying to bring in a sense of sacredness, or to change our sensations and our state of being. And that involves needing the nervous system to not just calm so we could sleep, but help us to enter that that different type of state, which generally means activating the vagus nerve. So I love not only essential oils, but the different quality of the burning of incense or the burning of plant material, because it does do something a little bit different, and the burning itself activates also something different in our DNA memory that is very different from just smelling a plant. The burning is also a very ancient thing. So yeah, let's keep going.
I actually, as I was researching some of the material I found some interesting Latin words that actually kind of explain how things were made up in the ancient times. Because in Latin, perfumum means through smoke. So it actually shows that perfume, which came later on, came from the tradition of smoking. Because
Mm.
originally, the smoking and the scent that the smoking provided was created for actually clothes and perfuming, also hair and fabrics. So that's also nice to
Ah.
see how these little connections were made. And also another Latin word, which was also kind of explaining how things work, was inspirare, which in Latin means inhale. So it actually shows that the inspiration came through the inhaling of the sense. So we hope that you can find some new inspiration and new consciousness or new outlook on things through this particular means, because it's not that we easily learn these techniques, but this is the time to do it. So let's actually move to my kitchen and we can just get straight to it.
I do want to say something really quick though. You and I have worked together many times in person to do yoga, to meditate. And I know that for years and decades, you've been using incense and essential oils as part of your prayer and breathing kind of practice. And I know I have too. So it's interesting I hadn't thought about inspiration that people are seeking through whatever spiritual or religious means is involving breath, and breath involves smelling.
And that's why when you look back into all these ancient traditions, into all these different religions, there's always been smoke and burning that was a part of the church or the mosque or other spiritual places, because
Yeah.
it can really enhance the experience. And what's also interesting, I found it also helps with the acoustic of the place. So that's
Oh,
another thing.
wow. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
another thing that just occurred to me with regards to memory, and well, especially memory, is there's new research, like we're in 2023 right now. There's newer research on nasal breathing, and that when you inhale through the nose, no matter what, you're activating your smell center in your brain. And the smell center in your brain is connected to memory. And so we are designed to, every time we take a breath through the nose, which should be almost all the time, we really shouldn't be mouth breathing, that we're pulsating the smell sensors with the breath. Inhale, pulsate, exhale, take it away. Inhale, pulsate. And so the process of breathing through the nose and smelling constantly is giving us a little stimulation for the memory center. And so I really do believe that when we can make things smell good, we want to inhale more. It's like a joy and it's a pleasure to inhale.
And also, what I've been observing is I've been using smoking in my house a lot. When I leave the house and come back, the smell stays and it creates such a beautiful atmosphere already that I walked into. Because it's true that oftentimes we use different smells to, make our home better. But the more you start to use the actual resins or the dried herbs and trees, you will become so picky and particular about the more chemicals and smells that you can find in all different ways, and you become so like just attuned to this much deeper and inner effect it can have on you, and it kind of like comes back to crystallizing to the actual essence of things, because sometimes with all the smells that we have around us, it's anything but distracting.
Yeah. And in my own office, with my medical office, we have candles burning all the time, at least one or two, because it's needing for cupping and I just like it. But I recently got a little cheap and I bought some candles that were artificially smelling. They're artificial, but they're less expensive. And I was walking into the office and I literally started thinking that there was something rotten in the office. And we were going all over the place. Oh, there's mold, there's a dead rat, there's something. I realized, no, it's the artificial. It's that bad when you're not used to it, because I'm used to using natural essences. And I thought, wow, I bet people are just used to it.
Yes,
So
it's very
yeah.
easy to get used to it without even realizing. So
Yeah.
now we're making your experience more conscious by
Yeah.
helping you to pay more attention to all the smells that are around you and being very picky about the good ones
Yes.
that you
Yes.
allow yourself to meditate with.
I know.
So
Yeah. Okay.
this makes a perfect transition. Let's
Yeah.
go to my kitchen. Okay, so here we are. I have my set of ingredients, which for this mixture, I chose some very nice frankincense, which hopefully you can find. If you can, from Oman is the best, but do what you can to find. Maybe Christina can give us some tips at the end where she was able to find some good resins so that we can save you some time searching. Then I picked some nice myrrh, because frankincense and myrrh are like a couple. It's like the yin and yang. If you want to create balance in your life, in your surrounding, to help yourself be harmonized very quickly, you want to do these two together, because myrrh is very feminine and frankincense is very masculine. You won't need a lot, just a little bit. And these two for me are always the base. Whatever you add on to that is up to you. For me, what inspired me was some nice rose. It's the rose petals. Juniper is very common for cleansing spaces and to keep the mood very uplifted and nice. Then cedarwood is always for me something that gives the strength and the power and the courage. And the last one is mistletoe. You might want to add it, or you don't have to, because oftentimes we do have mistletoe somewhere in the house for the holidays. So that's another way how to bring that energy in. And what actually is very nice when you can make the mixture yourself, you can use a mortar or just a bowl, it doesn't matter, is that as you are putting the things in, which I'm starting to do right now, you can set your intention, because the actual ritual of the 12 smoking nights or the 12 holy nights were to help you find closure of the year that you're just coming out of. So you can set that as an intention in general, or you can be more specific, but you don't have to, because as you're going to go through the ritual and as you're going to actually use the smoke of the mixture that you've prepared, this is what's going to help you to come more at peace for anything that you're coming out of, maybe the year that you're coming out of, or any other important change that is taking place in your life that you kind of want to go through more consciously and make sure that you use it as a very clear and a new beginning. And for me, because the 12 nights actually start on the December 25th, so that you have actually 6 nights to go for the closure of the year, and the following 6 nights to go for the beginning of the year until January 5th, when it's the end of this ritual, is that for the first 6 nights,
Can I ask you a question quickly? I think that most people like myself are looking at what you're doing, and then you're talking about the 12 nights, and that's such a great topic. So if we could just go backward for a minute, it looks like you're just using equal parts of the ingredients. Does the amount matter at all?
It doesn't matter at all, but what I was trying to get into with my little bit long introduction was that for the closure of the year, for the 6 nights, I create one mixture. So you're just going to use a little bit for each night. You don't need to use a lot. And then for the next 6 nights, I'll propose to create a new mixture, so that you kind of have a one scent for the end and a new scent for the beginning. And what you can do is either take just very small amount of each of those ingredients, or any other ones that you see fit for your purpose, and mix it in a mortar with the intention which is the closing of the year that is coming. So you just take a moment to mix it, and with the actual resins, because there are pieces of resins, you kind of want to break into more of a sandy texture so that it's very small pieces, because then you will use a coal that we will light up in a moment. And as you can see, it's not too big. So you don't want to put too big of pieces on it. First of all, because you don't want to turn it off. And then second of all, as you'll see in a minute, the smoke already just from a little bit of the mixture is strong as it is. So you really don't need a lot. So I put just maybe like a half of a small spoon of each ingredient in the mortar, where I mix it all together. And now, ideally, I've put in my intention at the same time, and I'm ready to light up the charcoal.
I have another question with this. If I noticed that you had like meanings for different plants, like cedarwood gives the strength, and maybe if a person doesn't know what the maybe a traditional meaning is for these, and of course you can look these up online, you could create whatever your own meaning is, right? So is that true? So if somebody's brand new and they just smell something and it reminds them of their family, then this is going to be like representing the family. Maybe another one's representing happy times, another one's, is that okay? Or
I'm actually so happy you're bringing this up, because when I was looking up for different recipes for this special 12 nights mixture, what I was finding very commonly was that originally, as people went through the year, they were over the course of the year picking up themselves certain herbs, they were drying them, and this dried mixture of whatever they've come across in the year and they've collected, they would use as a special mixture that they would add to the frankincense and myrrh for the actual year-end mixture, or which they would use for special circumstances, as if there was somebody sick and they needed to clean the house with the smoke. So this is definitely something where you can either pick it yourself throughout the year, but because we're just at the year end and we just want to create this mixture, it's easier to get some of the ingredients, but just use whatever your heart calls for, and you have the desire. And also with Christina, I've shared one book that I found that is also very helpful. I have it in Czech, but Christina will show you in a minute in English.
it's looks a little different, and there are different editions. So the title is The Complete Book of Incense Oils and Brews by Scott Cunningham. Yeah, and the cover does change. So yeah.
And there you will actually find a very nice overview of the different incenses, and also he gives many different variations of recipes for particular uses that you might also want to be trying out or inspired to use.
That's so nice. So different. I could see where if you pick your own, you really do. It does make it very, very personal, and the intention maybe even stronger, because there's memory mixed in, and smell is for memory and invoking the things that are good in you, that are, it's more than just mental. It's almost like visceral because of the way this is being done. That's a beautiful piece of history.
And you can actually, what you can do is you can make it very nice and fancy. You can make it into like a little bouquet. I can show you what I have here. This is my mixture of dried herbs that I've picked on the fall equinox, just for the cleansing of the house. And it's a mixture of a particular kind of artemisia and the other one, I forget. I think it's St. John's wort in English.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So that's definitely something you can, as you collect, you can make these not too thick, but thinner, so that it dries like little bouquets that you just tie together with some string or finer is better, because you can use the actual entire thing for smoking, or you can just take a little bit and put it in your mixture as well. You really don't need a lot. So this way you put the more personal touch in it
Oh,
as
that's
well.
beautiful. Yeah.
Mhm, mhm. So
Nice.
I think now we're ready.
Yeah,
What do you
okay.
think? So in terms of lighting the coal, first thing is actually you ideally need a cauldron, which Christina has.
Mm-hmm. So
You
let
can
me
check.
change the view here and let's see. So this is it's a very thick cast iron,
Mm-hmm.
and it has a lid so that you can light your coal in here, and then if you need to stop the fire, you can snuff it out, and then you can hold it this way because it gets very hot, and then it won't burn your um, table because it's on these legs. So this is what I found after having purchased many things. I've never learned what she's doing, but I have burned incense for a long time. So that's been the
And this
most
particular
practical. Yeah.
and this particular cauldron, because you can take it with you, it's so practical for this ritual, because ideally you don't do this ritual only in one space, but you walk through the entire house or apartment, or if you have a garden, you can even go around the house in the
Yes.
garden. And this way you harmonize the entire house and the entire land around, because it's always good to bring the harmony always also to the outside, not keep it only inside.
Yes, I have
So
definitely done that all around the outside of the house. And this,
mhm,
I would have only been able to do it with this because
yes,
it would have been too hot and very difficult. Any other thing that I've bought.
mine looks a little bit like a cup. It has a thing underneath that you can also hold it on, so that you're not holding the bowl itself.
Mm-hmm.
Because once you light the coal, you'll find that it gets very hot, and it makes its surrounding very hot as well. So you want to be careful with that. Also, with lighting the
Beautiful.
actual coal, you have to be a little bit cautious, because these are the special coals for burning. And once you start lighting it, you might not see it as I do it. So I tell you right now, then the fire, once it gets in, it goes through the coal very quickly. So it's not very safe to hold it in your hands. For that, my burner has like a little thing that I can put it on and light it safely like this. Or if you just choose to use a bowl, which you can, then it's always safe to put in some salt or sand. And once you have the coal lit up, you place it on the salt on sand, so that the bowl itself doesn't get too hot. And you can also use like tweezers
Oh,
to
that's so
hold it.
smart.
Mhm. So this is what I'm going to use to show you. And you just take the flame. As you can see, it's already starting to lit up. You might want to hold it just for a little bit. As you see, it's starting to go through the entire coal. So once you lit the fire, then it's nice to take a moment to make sure the fire goes through the entire coal. And then when you have the mixture ready, you can just take really like a half teaspoon, not too much, because as you can see, it's quite intense as you put it on the top. That's why Christina had an important question as we were setting it up. If you use the entire coal to light it up, my recommendation is not to try to break the coal into any smaller pieces, because once you get the coals for burning, you'll see that they have like a little bowl on top, which is important, where you can place the actual mixture and it stays there. It doesn't fall through all or around, because only on top of the coal it actually starts to light up. And as you can see, it starts to create and produce this beautiful white smoke that you might see. It's starting to come up
Oh,
right
yeah.
now. And this is your time really to either sit down and connect with your intention, make the experience very conscious. And then when you feel up for it, you can walk through your room or apartment or house and use it for cleansing and purifying the environment around you as well. Once it starts to, as you will see, get black and burn, if it gets the smell too much of like a burning, that's why it's nice to have a little spoon, because then you can push it aside from the coal and put on a new batch.
Oh, that's a
But
great idea also.
you really don't need, it really depends what you use. With resins, it's
Mhm.
usually fine because they kind of melt and get even absorbed by the coal. But once you get pieces of wood or herbs that stay in bigger pieces, then it might start to smell like it's a little bit too of a burn smell, and that's not that pleasant. So you might want to just push it aside and then put in a new fresh batch.
Oh, that's lovely. That's really beautiful. I've
And
only
that's
ever
pretty much it. It's very simple, very easy, nothing too difficult, and it just creates such a beautiful atmosphere already, just by the energy of the fire, by the sense of smell that is so important in terms of introspection and just taking the time for yourself,
I
at
could
least for
really
myself.
imagine, and I could just so imagine doing this when company is over or when family is there, and like just how special that is to do something like that with somebody. And I've got mine burning right now.
Mm-hmm.
Just frankincense and myrrh because I
Mm-hmm.
haven't yet set up what you have, but um I can definitely see it melting and I can smell the difference. It's setting a new kind of a new vibe.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost,
Or also,
yeah, go ahead.
it also might be nice to actually do this before any special event, so that you kind of set up the space itself for more light and harmony and just more uplifting atmosphere. So it's two ways. You can use it to prepare a space and set up the energy, or you can use it, as you said, afterwards to actually clean it from any energy or experiences that have taken place there.
It's so pretty to see it burning. Give me just a minute because I'm going to open a window since we do have fire alarms. So just
Yes,
a
you have
minute.
to be careful with those,
Yeah,
because
okay.
as you can see, the smoke can be quite intense. Even though it's white, you can very easily see it starting to set in the space. So if you have your fire alarm, then be careful because it might go on. So opening the window or doing this somewhere not near the fire alarm is definitely a safer option.
Yeah, in the States, we usually have fire alarms, so it's one reason I do these near windows, or we have a sliding glass door, which is really perfect because it's so nice to have it smell outside. Um, and I really, it's a time to actually open up the house and get rid of the old smells and bring in the new ones. And so there's also kind of that air purifying aspect to this whole ritual. So yeah, do you have a fire alarm?
It's not mandatory here in the Czech Republic, but some new apartments have it. So actually, it was my friend's experience not too long ago, because she was very inspired and she wanted to try it in her house, and she didn't even know she had fire alarm. So I was so sorry for her, because she set up everything, she turned it on, and then minutes later, this sound came from nowhere, and it took her forever to turn it off. So
Oh my
from the
gosh. Yeah.
like the meditative state, she was in like super hyped and stressed state. So let's make
Yeah,
sure that this doesn't happen to you.
exactly. We want to be safe with fire and all of those things.
Mhm.
Would you tell us a little bit more about this 12 days? This is something that I don't celebrate, but I find it very intriguing, and maybe I would incorporate that for myself.
It's actually an ancient tradition that comes from the difference between the solar and the lunar calendar. They actually have a difference of 11 days and 12 nights before they reunite at the beginning of the new year. And this 12 nights, because the night is more prominent than the day in that time of the year, have been always used to harmonize yourself with the energies of the sun and the moon, and also to harmonize yourself with the closure of the old year and the opening and conscious intention setting for the new year. So this has been traditionally used for cleansing and purifying and just more of like a meditative state, which makes so much sense because it falls the first night on the December 25th, which is right after the actual Christmas day, if you celebrate it. And this way you can kind of like already put that experience aside, which for some of us can be a little bit no.
People have different experiences. Yes.
Yeah, it can be a lot to prepare for that because there's a lot of expectations sometimes and a lot to prepare for. So now then it's over that you can reconnect with yourself and your intention. And this way it's so nice to use something very special that you would not do normally. And actually by taking the time, finding some really nice resins that will work for that. It can be that tradition that you create for yourself. I personally have done some research and we're so blessed. We have so many different really good websites here that I was able to find a source directly from Oman, which is very famous for one of the top quality resins.
Wow.
And the myrrh, and then the frankincense, which is also directly from Oman, has such a beautiful quality to it.
Oh,
So
that's so lovely. And so the 12 in the history, the 12 days or 12 nights were there to well, I mean, they were there, but then people used them as a time of like personal reflection. Is that what you're saying?
personal reflection and also cleansing of the house. And just because it's very much connected through the very long nights, because it's right after the winter solstice where the night is the longest and the day is the shortest. Then it's kind of like a nice celebration that the longest night is over and now the day is starting to grow and become a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And this way it can be celebrated as the almost like the real beginning of the new era, because once you pass the longest night, then with the longer day it can be taken as like
Yeah.
the new year itself, if you think
Yeah.
about it, because
That,
originally nobody celebrated before this calendar that we're using, the January 1st. This was set up artificially because of the
yeah.
calendar, the way it's set up. But people have always recognized the solstices and the equinoxes. So the winter solstice with the longest night, and then when the calendar got in place, then it created the distinction of the 6 nights for the old year and the 6 nights for the new year. Kind of created this like new tradition. And as it ends on January 5th, I don't know if you're aware, but January 6th is another big holiday here in Europe, and it's called the Three Kings, because as the tradition when Jesus was born, the star that appeared on the horizon called up the kings from other lands to come and celebrate the birth of this special energy that was just reincarnated on earth. And what they brought with them as the three gifts was gold, myrrh, and frankincense. So on January 6th is the traditional day of the Three Kings. And this is when little children dressed up as three kings go around the houses and they actually have the little coal lit up with a little mixture of resins, and they create the smoke, and they already bring that energy with them as well, which is like the closure of this tradition.
This
And
is
this is
so
when
beautiful.
the actual new year really begins. That's what
Okay.
the tradition said.
It's so I just want to summarize here. So Christmas is generally Christmas Eve is the 24th, Christmas is the 25th. And then my understanding is that the winter solstice is like somewhere between the 20th and the 22nd, right?
I think
actual
this year is the
solstice.
22nd. It's
Yeah.
around the 21st, 22nd.
Yeah, and it's always a little different. You have to check your calendar. So then
Mhm.
there's kind of a lot going on there with regards to the Christian holiday and the equinox, the solstice. And then what could you tell us again, what's the day that the 12 nights begins? Is that the
Mhm.
26th?
The 25th. It
Oh, so
begins on the
Christmas
night of the
Eve.
25th.
That's the
Because
first
here,
night.
because here in Europe, the traditional Christmas celebration takes place on the eve of the Christmas. Because oftentimes in the old times, the
Uh-huh.
beginning of the day was taken from the beginning of the night before. So actually, the night preceded the day. So even though the Christmas is on the 25th, the Christmas day, it was celebrated already after the sunset on the 24th. And this
Oh,
tradition
really?
here has been preserved.
Mm-hmm.
So the traditional Christmas dinner with the family, with the tree, with the gifts, takes place here on the 24th of
Oh,
December.
really?
And the tradition of the 12 nights
Mm-hmm.
happened the day after. So it's kind of like the closure of like the family time and all the preparation. It all comes, to the big feast and big celebration on the
Yes.
24th.
Uh-huh.
And then from the 25th on, you can take on your own personal, or if you want to share it with your family, then of course that's
Mm-hmm.
a benefit if you can do it together or just by yourself. Have this like time to like reconnect and recollect, and it takes some time, and you will
Yes.
see that for yourself as you
Oh, you
go through
do.
the days of the closure. Things will start to come up more and more and more, and it's
Yeah.
so nice to give yourself the time and space,
Yeah.
because it's also said that during the night sometimes the dreams become different, and you can learn to understand more through your dreams. That's why it's a good idea to have pen and paper ready after you wake up if you want to take notes,
Yeah.
what you dreamt about. Or you can just, take your time and have like a little journal for the 12 nights and just write what, the preparation, the intention, the actual smoke and the smell itself, what it brings up, and
Yeah.
really create that as a
And
special ritual and meditation for yourself.
I love that you said the first 6 nights, so starting on December 25th, going 6 nights is really about the intention closing the year. And then you're using one set of mixture of your herbs that you're burning. And then starting on the 7th night for the next 6 nights, your intention is about opening up the new year and mixing another set of herbs. And it might actually be all the same herbs, but you're just creating a mix. And every time you mix something, it's going to be a little bit different. Plus you have the energy of the mixture, the time, the intention of the mixing. So that second 6 days or nights is really the opening of the new year.
Because for me, it's always like, how can you open something when you didn't close
It makes
the
so much
energy
sense.
before?
Yeah.
So that's why I
Oh,
was so
that's so
excited to
beautiful.
find and learn about this tradition, because this was something I was kind of missing in my previous years when I didn't necessarily take so much time and space to create the energy of the closure and making peace with all events, all people, maybe
Oh,
in just in your mind,
yeah.
or maybe taking the time to write there then whatever, whatever
That's
inspires you, because
really
it's
beautiful.
just it's most of us, we're free because there's no school, no work during this time. So why not take it for this special and very important ending, which can be the ending of the year, but it can be the ending of your life, so called up
Yeah.
till now,
Yeah.
and you can like set the intention for the rest of your life. Because
Right.
how many times we have really taken the time of ritual or of the actual dedication to ourselves and create this closure of, let's say, even habits or ways of thinking or ways of
Yeah.
feeling, because it's always so nice to have something to go with that, because just setting your attention or even writing it might not be strong enough. That's why actually that cauldron of yours might be very helpful, because what you
Yeah.
might want to feel inspired to do, and feel free to do it, is just to write what you're letting go of
Oh, that's
and burn it
oh
symbolically.
yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
and I was thinking of, it's almost a joke here in the United States to say, do you have any New Year's resolutions? Because the joke is that nobody ever does it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I'm not going to eat sugar this year or whatever, and then we do it for 1 year, 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. I'm going to exercise every day, or all these different things. But I think one reason the New Year's resolution is often quite empty is because it didn't have with it, any kind of preparation that was meaningful, any kind of, closing out of an old habit. Because when you close the year, it's an opportunity to close a habit, or close, understand, and then put behind you something that you didn't like, so that you can open up something new. But that takes time, it takes reflection, it takes putting energy into. You can't just say like, I'm going to lose weight or whatever it is. It doesn't work like that. And this is just a vehicle. I could see doing this every year with family, and I could also see doing it as a personal, like you could do both, so that you really get this chance to go inside, and every year could be different. You can see like journals, your journal from one year to the next could be really amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And if you want to get really fancy and you are into numerology, you
Mm.
can even work with the number of the year you're coming out of and the number of the year that you're about to start,
Mm-hmm.
and look at the energy of the actual number that it
Mm-hmm.
represents, because sometimes it can also help you to reveal some energies that have been made more present in that time.
Yes, I love that.
And mhm, and also prepare yourself for the new energy that you're just about to step into, because we might not know what's going to happen, but the numbers are so powerful and strong. Why not to prepare yourself just a little bit to see what the vibration of
Mhm.
the upcoming year might bring? And I'm sure you
Mhm.
can find some really good books on
So
numerology.
many. Yeah.
My personal favorite is Linda Goodman. If you don't know Linda Goodman, you have to find out, because
Oh,
she's
you
like the
sent me,
best astrologer.
really,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you sent me her name. Yeah. Thank
Yes,
you.
and the numerology and the explanation she gives is so beautiful. She has books and she also has cards. The cards
Oh,
are a great way.
uh-huh.
It's kind of like a little inspirational cards. So this way you don't give too much of description, because
Yeah.
sometimes the books with the description can be long, but the cards are like really nice, and that's all you
Oh,
need
wow.
just to get like a little introduction on the basic numerology, which is
Mhm.
just the number of the year combined to get like a digit of subtracting the numbers that are in the year, and you can start there.
Mhm. This is so great. Thank you. I feel like you've just given us a Christmas gift and a New Year's gift, and actually something that you could use with a lot of different traditions. And thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank
And we
you.
would love to hear from you also. So if you go from for the experience, please share your comments underneath this video
Yes.
so that we can then see your feedback, how it worked for you. Or also, if you have any questions, feel free to just write and we will be happy to answer.
Yes, and we have other classes and other things that you can look into if you enjoy this kind of content. So thank you.
Thank
Ah,
you, and happy
happy
holidays. Happy
holidays.
and successful beginning of the new year that is
Yes.
about to come.
Oh, yes.